G'day parents and players, welcome back to the UXI podcast. I'm Andre, I'm sitting with National Rugby Director Anton Moorman. We're into week 3, we've got 2 weeks behind us, and you've recently had your orientation weeks. Tell us what that was all about, Melise.
Yeah, Andre, morning. Nice to be here, great to be able to give some feedback, not only to parents and players, but it's been a really exciting 2 weeks, a lot of planning that has gone into every institute's orientation weeks. Week 1, obviously, a lot of focus on player screening, making sure we've got all our medicals done, our functional movement screening, just assessing exactly where each player was from a physical aspect, assessing movement patterns, doing basic strength tests. We've done some tests on the field where we've assessed the various skill levels. And that was pretty much week 1. And then after that, we went into our orientation, let's call it a bit of a hell week in week 2, where we really upped the ante and we took boys into a little bit of a different space mentally, where we really pushed them, not only on the physical side of it, but from a mental side. And I think the boys really came out well. You know, each institute has its own flavor. Each coach has got his own DNA that he likes to bring out, and his way of thinking. But you know, obviously, everything still has a strict UXI guideline in terms of what we want, in terms of what we drive in our high performance culture. But the feedback from the program managers has been fantastic, and they've been really happy with the boys' efforts. The youngsters are very keen, but there's a lot of hard work that lies ahead.
Anton, you speak a lot about the whole Rite of Passage concept at UXI. What are the outcomes of this, and how does the orientation linked into this Rite of Passage philosophy?
Well, the Rite of Passage really is the way one earns your right to actually start participating in all aspects of the program. It runs down to your behavioral standards and also your performance standards from a conditioning perspective. So we had a simple, what we call rope test, where boys had to go through a specific exercise battery. It's a 40 sit-ups, 40 push-ups, X amount of burpees, and a bronco under a certain time. And if you don't make that time, well, then you haven't earned the right to enter the UXI program. If you don't pass, there's a way to get in. We call it a Cooper's test, which is a running test. The players do, and they fit in. But these tests are done on a monthly basis, and the boys are encouraged not only to do the training that they do with the players, but to look after themselves both physically and mentally, to ensure that they are fit. You know, fit's a massive part of any sporting culture. If you aren't fit, you can't perform at the highest level. If you are overweight, you're not going to get to the standards that are required. If you're under conditioned, you're not going to get to those standards. So we're driving those principles on a daily basis. The guys have entered a high performance sports program. You need to be fit to achieve. Yeah. That's something that UXI, through our strength and conditioning departments, are driving really hard this year.
Okay, and are you able to give us some examples of what the boys did during their various orientations?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. Some fantastic ideas, some really funny stories that came out from the various program managers. Obstacle courses, a big part of it. I know that the guys at Free State had a fantastic obstacle course that they went out to, crawling through the mud, climbing over nets and carrying poles, and about an 8K course that they did. I know one or two of the coaches jumped in there with them. I know Simon Askew, the program manager, was one of the coaches who managed to complete it with them, and they had a great time. All the boys finished, which was a massive plus, and I think when the boys see the coaches participating with them as well, it's always a highlight for them. Up at the Pumas with Henny Skorbinski and his coaching team, I know the guys went away on a bit of a 3-day camp where they were woken up at all hours of the morning and tested some hikes up hills, pushing themselves to different limits. I'm sure an enormous amount of burpees, I'm sure, would have been done, but eventually the teams pulled together and they realized that teamwork is dream work, and if you're going to work by yourself, you're going to end up doing a lot more extra PT. The guys at Griquas as well went out to the Royfontein Game Farm. They've done some running out on the trails over there. They've done some amazing races, was a big theme as well. I know that the guys at Harlequins and Western Province had amazing races around the town for the youngsters who are new in the area to get to know the environment. And yeah, the interesting one was the one up at Limpopo Blue Bulls, where it was the first one they've had there, and Roche, who's the program manager, you know, they were joking about they had to jump in the van and go and spot the water buffaloes before they took the boys out to make sure that there was no water buffaloes on the route, and then they were out there carrying tires, carrying poles. Again, coaches involved with them, but the guys all came through, and it was really, really exciting. Down in Western Province, there was 3 days spent in Stellenbosch itself, where, as I said, they had the amazing race. They had a great athletics day to finish off, but they had 2 off-campus sessions where they hiked up Table Mountain, which is a really steep incline. The boys had to work hard on that, up the mountain, back down to Camps Bay Beach, where they finished off. And then I suppose the real test of the Western Province orientation week was the 5 beach challenge that they did, where they started out in Simonstown, and each beach had a 30-minute military style PT session on it, which coaches took at different stations, and they worked from Simonstown through to Glencairn to Fisher to Danger Beach through to Muizenberg, and the boys they got to know the sand very well, and but it was a great spirit. All the boys got through it, and yeah, I finished off with a great lunch out in Muizenberg, and the trip on the bus was a very, very quiet one on the way back. The boys were all lights out, but yeah, I'm just happy that the orientation weeks have gone by smoothly without any incidents. Yeah, the boys have now kicked off the next phase, which is now as they start integrating into their respective rugby programs.
And obviously a lot of the outcomes around orientation is to develop unity, to teach guys that rite of passage means you've got to put in hard work before you can earn something. It's a 1 to 2 week period out of a whole year, or maybe 2-3 year program. How do you make sure that the lessons you try and entrench in those first few weeks get carried through the year? I mean, what do you do next? Yeah,
you know, I think standards, behavioural standards are something that we drive hard, especially in the first 2 weeks, but something's got to be consistent. And these are discussions that we've had on our road shows with all our staff that we did before the boys checked in, and it's something that we'll be driving right throughout the year. Our rope systems are tests that will be done the first Tuesday of every month. And the boys will be, if they haven't achieved their goals, they'll be making sure they do achieve them by the following month. It gives them a bit of time to work on their own, make sure they can get those exercises done. And you know, once you achieve, even if it's just that little ROP that we call, you know, if they once they achieve that, there's going to be a big smile, and there's going to be that satisfaction that they've actually ticked that box, and they all of a sudden move into a different bracket, and they're not going to be deemed having to go and earn the rite of passage to get back in. And the rite of passage is always easy. We never exclude. It's just an additional little bit of PT, which makes them realize that they're back in the UXI mix, never excluded. But they know that they've got to keep working to get to the standards that we demand on our high performance program.
Yeah, and obviously you're working with boys whose big goal is to become a high performance athlete. And those rope sessions, those fitness tests, that's just a yes or a no, you fit or not, for you to be able to achieve that level.
No, 100%, you know, and we've had our, already at the respective institutes, we've had boys who've filtered into some provincial training squads. Some of our second years have filtered into the Western Province under 21 training squad down here in Cape Town. And the message back from the high performance coaches at the Stormers has been that our boys have fitted in well, fit and getting stuck in.
Great.
You know, if you fit in and you can get stuck in, the rest can happen. But if you're unfit and you don't get stuck in, well, you're not going to make any impact anyway. At least they're giving themselves a chance within a system by achieving norms that are set by SARU, that are set by our URC franchises, for youngsters to ensure that they can, given the opportunity, can perform at a provincial under 19, under 21, or potentially a senior level.
Yeah, and that's obviously the true test. That's
100%.
So just to end off, Anton, give us an idea of what the boys can expect over the next few weeks. What's planned on the calendar before they go on their first break?
Well, I think the exciting part for the youngsters now is that they start integrating a lot more onto the field, engaging more with their coaches. We do a lot of our rugby testing, our rugby coaching. We started with all our fundamentals, scrummaging, lineouts, different types of attack. We go through our whole rugby curriculum, and the games are coming up, and youngsters all want to. We don't train to train. We train to play, and I think the boys will be looking forward to that aspect, and we'll be looking forward as coaches to watching them now express themselves in a training environment, and then translating that onto the field and seeing how they perform. And then we're going to see the youngsters who stand up, and there's going to be a journey for each individual. We're going to have some youngsters that are going to come that are going to be at the top of their game from the start, and some youngsters that are going to work hard and who are going to take a while to get into the systems. It's different coaching styles, different game plans, different skill levels that are required. The speed of the game increases massively at this level. So yeah, it becomes a lot more rugby focused. The various leagues in the different institutes or the different provinces start right now. I know there's a lot of friendlies that start now in Western Province from a club perspective. I know that in Free State the rugby leagues start now early in March. Up in the Pumas, they're playing in a regional under 21 competition, and I know that our Limpopo Blue Bulls are having a run against the Namibian under 20s in about 3 weeks' time. So they've got something to work towards, a massive thing to work towards. Yeah. You know, they're going to be exposed to an international under 20 side that are preparing for the African Cup and or the Bartes Cup. So they'll be tested. And I'm sure that Roche and his team will be working hard on that.
Yeah, it's an exciting way for the boys to start the year. Yeah. So the next time you see us sitting on the couch, we'll give you some more info on the first few weeks of the rugby program, the games played, and the rugby outcomes. Thanks a lot for joining us, Anton. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. Thanks, Andre.